talk about something that's near and dear to my heart. I recently changed my own domain from Copywriting Course with K's to Copywriting Course with C's. You recently changed your name from ConversionXL.com to CXL.com.
Hmm.
Why? And what did you learn along the way?
Yeah, so as you said, started as Conversion Excel because I wanted to have the word conversion in the name,
Mm-hmm.
and conversion by itself is already long enough, so I didn't need extra letters. So Excel was just short.
Mm-hmm.
But then when we started to be more than just a blog, we added a conference, Conversion Excel Live. Then we had it education business, which is now my main thing, CXL Institute, Conversion Excel Institute. These are like mouthfuls to say,
Mm-hmm.
and people themselves started to abbreviate. They started to say, "Hey, I went to CXL, meaning Conversion Excel Live, the conference."
Mm.
And it's like, oh yeah, I can see how it's difficult to say these long ass names. And so we tried to buy the domain name cxl.com. It was owned by the Chinese,
Mm-hmm.
and we sent lots of inquiries, never got a response. But we just changed the logo to CXL and started to refer to ourselves as CXL anyway, even keeping the conversionxl.com domain name.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody, one of my colleagues, said, "Hey, I found this Chinese domain broker," and he instantly got us a quote for cxl.com. So here's lesson one: if the domain is owned by the Chinese, use Chinese domain brokers.
Interesting.
They instantly got this person on the phone or whatever. I never talked to the domain owner, only through the intermediary. And so we started negotiating. At first, they wanted 100,000, and we said no. And then there was like 6 months of nothing. Ah, it's too expensive. I'm not gonna go for it. But in the end, we ended up buying it.
How much did you pay, if you don't mind me asking?
So in the end, we paid. I think it was like $47,000,
Oh,
which
that's
is
not as much as I thought.
I think very cheap for a three-letter domain name.
Yeah. I guess most people can't use CXL. Like that means nothing for most people. But for you,
Cancel.
fortunately, that
Yeah.
means something awesome. Yeah.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah. If it was like cat.com, that would have been like a $5 million
It's
domain.
so nice to now, like wherever you go, places where you need to type your email address, it's so short. My first name at cxl.com. It's
So abbreviations were an interesting part of that. I mean, abbreviations were a big part of why we changed because it's called Copywriting Course with K. So there's already two Ks. And let's
Mhm.
say you add conference at the end of that with a K. Well, there's an organization that people don't like that's very much associated with. So we
and
had to
and
kind of change that.
and for us, it's also we wanted to get rid of the word conversion, because we started out from in a niche of conversion optimization,
Mm-hmm.
but we became more than just that. And then we have painted ourselves into the corner with the name conversion
Conversion.
in there. So now we have also, at CXL Institute, we do all kinds of data-driven marketing stuff. So when you're coming out of your smaller niche into a bigger niche,
I don't know. I'm kind of torn on the domain name change stuff and the name changes. I've been part of a bunch of different domain name changes over the years, and honestly, I don't think anyone cares. Like Brian Harris had videofruit.com.
but he changed it.
Then he changed it, but I personally liked Video Fruit. It had like a ring to it. I know he was always like, "Well, let's talk about video," because I was really talking about video, and I was like, "I
Hmm.
know, but like somehow I don't care." So I don't know if it matters as much. I never know. I can't tell.
Well, you can't be if you like lightfixtures.com and you sell plants. It's weird.
But what about like Amazon.com?
Well,
That doesn't mean anything.
that's the main point. The name that doesn't mean anything is the best kind of name for a brand.
Well, I mean, there's like a Shakespeare quote, like a rose by any other name would be just as sweet. If it's still a rose, but it's called a bose or chose or something like that, would it be
Hmm.
as awesome?
Well, if you want to change, I think the brand perception of what you're about, but your name is kind of literal.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're about vacuum cleaners, but we also sell TVs. It's vacuumcleaners.com. You don't go buy a TV from there.
Yeah, my name domain is hella literal. Copywriting course explains
Well,
what it
once
does
you
right in
once
the
you
thing.
get into something else, then might be a problem for you.
Yeah. So I did a little spying on Ahrefs. Shout out Tim Sulo. It looks like it took you about a year to get back to the organic traffic levels for CXL.com. Is that
Actually,
true?
it wasn't that long. It was more like a quarter, 4 months,
Huh.
before we were already uh, beating the organic rankings before the domain name changed. And we also strategically chose a really good month to make the switch,
Uh huh.
December.
Huh.
Because in marketing sites, like in e-commerce, maybe December is great. For B2B marketing education, December is when we always see traffic tank. After
Mm.
December 15th, nobody gives a shit about optimizing anything. They just want presents and whatever. So it's a low traffic month for us always.
Hmm.
So the biggest drop in traffic was in December, and so in business wise, we didn't really take a hit.
And you changed the domain, and all of everything just started coming back naturally.
Hmm.
Oh,
Pretty much so, yeah.
hmm. Ours did not go like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was interesting. We thought that there was kind of like because you can't totally control it, but there was the easy way, which is like we just change over, everything comes back, and then there's the hard way, which is change over, everything does not come back, and you have to rebuild it. So it's
Well,
somewhere in
we
the
we had
medium
like
for us.
consultants, and like there was a strategic piece, and like the SEO people were working on shit under the hood that I was not involved with. So
Uh-huh.
we were not just 301ing everything over. There was more to it.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Does the name change morale, or do customers care? Like, does anyone care but you?
I don't think people really didn't care about the name change, and there are still like the old fans who still refer to us as ConversionXL. I mean, I'm sure like people at Moz still get called SEO Moz, and
Yeah. I still call you Conversion XL.
that's
Because if
fine.
I say the name CXL to someone, they're like, what does that mean? That's
Hmm.
just random letters. Doesn't mean anything.
Right, right, right. But like a lot of brand name changes, you forget what it was, what something was called before. Like people get used to the new name, and it's just since we do more things, and like I'm 100% behind the name change.
Huh. I remember even going with like the sumo.com name change and stuff like that. I was like, yeah. It's like a fun story for like a week, and then you're like, whatever. Okay, is the product good or not? I don't know.